Hello again, everyone, and welcome to It's Only Cooking. I'm John Ruska, and this is my kitchen, not a studio, not a stage, not a sound stage, that's for sure. So when you hear the traffic go by, it's all real, and the cooking's all real here, as well as the mistakes. As I always tell everybody, I dawn a little differently than probably some cooking shows you see on TV, because I grew up watching Graham Kerr, so I've got the fat tie. And then I also, my little bit of my Julia Childs here. I don't have the frilly apron, but I get the idea. So what we're going to do today is a little cross kind of food here, a little Thai, a little Korean, a little Chinese, a little Japanese. It's going to be a little bit of everything mixed in, but it's a bunch of flavors that are layered, which is what I always like to do since I learned how to do that, is layering these flavors, and come up with something that has a great flavor, and it's not always just rice. This is not going to have rice. And then we're also going to have some spring rolls we're going to make as either a side dish or appetizer, whichever way you want to have them. So let's get started with our mise en place. It's always the first place we start, because that's the foundation to having a nice fun cooking experience. So here we go on our mise en place here. We have some broccoli. I don't have a lot, we don't need a lot of vegetables in this. The star of the show is the chicken breast, some green onions sliced on the bias. This is our garlic. We're gonna cut some ginger root up in a little moment, and then some sugar, and then of course we have our garnishes for the top, some toasted sesame seeds and a little bit of the tops of the green onions, just to make it pretty. Now, one of the things this is also going to have, like a little dish of water. We're using these noodles that are called Thai noodles or rice noodles. And they work a little different than your regular pasta. You put these in some water for 15-20 minutes. I just wanted to get those in there early so we'd be ready to go when the show got started. So they're about ready now. You let them so they start to separate. When they start to separate, that means they're getting about ready, and they're soft. They're not going to be soft like a noodle that you cooked, like an egg noodle that you cook in the hot water, so it's soft. It's a different like firmness, it feels like. Now, we're also doing something a little different, and I'm going to go out on a limb here to show you that while this is still mise en place, what we have over here on the tray, this is all of the ingredients that are going to go into our marinade for the chicken. And they're also going to be what we pour over the chicken and the noodles as they're doing their final cook in the fry pan. So without further ado, let's get everything ready. I'm going to try and do this so we're not in the way. A lot of these ingredients, and I'll show you what they are as we do them. A really popular one in Asian cooking is fish sauce. I don't know. If you smell it, you'll probably not ever use it or never buy it. But this adds that, what is that? Is that umami? Is that what it is, Ms. Producer? Umami? It adds that flavor to the dish. So when you put this in, it's not going to be as much as you think, but it's more than you think. I'm going to say put in, let's call it a teaspoon. That's probably a good amount there. That's the first item. Next item, which is in a lot of dishes also, is sesame oil. Now, a lot of you have probably tasted this and had this. It's a very mild and a really nice flavor to put into dishes. Okay, we put in, let's call it a half a teaspoon of that. We're making only one breast here, so we don't need to go crazy. Tamari or soy sauce, it's a pretty common dish in most. You can use low sodium. I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons, let's call it. And you don't need to go crazy and put a lot in, but that's what gives you your salt. If you look at what we're doing here, we're kind of brining it and we're flavoring it all at one time, because there's going to be sugar that's coming in a minute. This is rice vinegar. Sorry, should have shown it to the close-up camera there. Sorry, Ms. Producer. This is rice vinegar, seasoned, and what seasoned mean is it has a little sweetener, a little sugar in it. It just, I don't know, a teaspoon. Again, it really doesn't matter. So it's just an amount that you think you want to have in there, and you'll adjust the taste if you want to. The next thing is mirin. I'm putting them down here so you can actually see the name. So it's a sweetened sake. I should have put a teaspoon on this. I don't want to use it. But it is sake, and it's sweet sake, fermented. And then the last but not least, I'm just going to put a little of this in. It's oyster sauce. it's flavored oyster sauce. It does have some oyster components. Let's see. I mean, it's just not all oyster. Water, salt, oyster extract. So that's what it has in, but it has the purpose of it's a little bit thick, and we're going to put more of this on the noodles with the oil when we mix that up to start putting that in. But those are the biggest wet ingredients in there. It's supposed to have a little bit of water. I'm going to take this pot here of water. I'm just going to put, not much. Let's put a teaspoon in. That's about right. And let's see, we're going to put some, in the magic of TV, I pull out off of not my mise en place. This is some minced garlic again. If you've seen me mince garlic a number of times, how much? Here's the test, how much? If I say 2 cloves, how much is that? Cloves are little, cloves are big. It's what you like. If you like it a little more garlic, put a little more garlic. We'll put it all in there. I put a little olive oil on it because I knew it'd be sitting here a while. I didn't want it to dry out, so I just drizzled a little olive oil over it. Now we're going to do something that I, in all my years, had never used until I started learning about cooking. Again, I'm a COVID cook. I learned to cook during COVID. I always cooked things before. I was more of a garnish guy. You know, I made little roses out of radishes and things like that. Swans out of cantaloupes. But since I had to eat when COVID was going on, I did research and found out some things to cook and why you do things when you cook a certain way. And I learned about layering and about why you put butter at the end of sauces. A lot of those fun things that we've talked about in other shows. So here's some fresh ginger. It's not very fancy. I've seen recipes where they leave this on. This has been around a little longer. I don't want to use it. It's the same thing. You can see it's the same. I'll hold it close up there. It's the same thing inside. This is just a little drier. This is just going to be easier to work with. So you take basically the back of a spoon and you just go like that, and this stuff comes right off. So you know, like I said, I've seen recipes where they leave it on. It's not for me. I don't like to do that if I don't have to. So we'll get that there. We'll cut the furrowed end off, throw that in our waste bucket there. And now we'll take off a piece about this big, because I think that's going to be about the same amount of the garlic, about a tablespoon or so, or less. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to mince it. So we'll get it cut up first, real nice and tiny on the bias. See, I'm not talking now because I'm concentrating, so I don't cut the ends of my fingers off. Not a complicated thing, but you got to definitely pay attention to the business end of these knives. Remember, look how I'm holding it. I'm going to hold it up for the close-up. You hold it almost like a pencil because you have control over the knife. If you're doing it like this, it's going all over the place. You do that, that blade's going right where you want it to every time. And so now I'm just going to mince this up best I can. Basically, the ginger is going to stay in its form. It's not going to melt or anything like that, but you want to give it as many surfaces and release as much of the flavor as you can. So that's what we're doing. Same thing as you're doing with garlic. I mean, you can put garlic in a press. That gets it, emulsified basically. You can cut it in thin slices. A lot of Italian dishes call for it in really thin slices. So you can do it a lot of ways. You can put it in whole in some dishes, but what we want to do in this dish is, because we're going to marinate the chicken pieces in there, we want it to have as many surfaces as we can have. And again, we don't take the knife and scrape up our things. We pull out our scraper. If we put that right in. So this you can do. This you can scrape across your cutting board all you want. So now we've got our mixture, our marinade, and this is our marinade and our stir fry sauce, if you want to, for lack of a better term. One last item in here. This is a secret one. I had to make sure nobody's around to see this, but it's a little bit of sugar. That's a teaspoon there, right? That's about a teaspoon. I'm not even going to put it all in. I'm just going to do with my pinch there. I'll put it's about a quarter teaspoon. It's just one of those things when you put it in, again, it's another layer. It blends with all the things that are in there. You don't want it to have such an earthy flavor. You want a little bit of sweetness to the dish, because that's sweet and hot. We're not going to put any hot. You'll be able to add that at the end, and I'll show you what I like to use, which is chili crisp. So we can do that. Now we're going to get this chicken ready for prime time to go in here. You can just cut it in strips. You can cut it however you'd like to cut it. I am going to use a better knife. And this is a chicken breast that was off of a whole chicken. I like to get them that way when I can. I just made chicken broth the other day, so I had just done this, and this is one of the breasts from that. I like to get, take this short end here. I like them to be kind of a little bit different. Each time, I kind of like to have them like this, because they're going to have it. It's going to be the main thing in your dish. So you want to have some nice shapes and make it kind of interesting. We'll do a couple of them this way. And I'm doing them a little bit on a bias. I find that the chicken comes out a little more tender that way. It cooks a little faster. Maybe it's just in my head. But I think it just looks a little better having little medallions of this. You're going to have it in with that pasta, or that rice, that rice pasta, I guess is better, lack of a better word, rice noodles. So it's going to have a, here, let's do these two. I'll do some in the traditional sense of stir fry, long and slender. You don't want these thick. That's the key, because you're not going to be cooking these very long. Stir fry is typically high temperature, short amount of time. When I'm doing chicken in our house, they like it cooked. Make sure it's cooked and then cooked and then cooked. So I'll make it so it's a little bit more done. And we'll put that in there, and we're going to stir this up a little bit. Do not let this sit out on the countertop and let it marinate. Even though it's not going to be very long, it's just chicken, and I don't trust doing that. So put this in the fridge, put a little plastic cover on it, put it in the fridge. And right now, what we're going to do also is we're going to get those noodles prepped, make sure they're good. Okay, so that's basically gets everything ready. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to drain these noodles off, and we're going to treat them with a little oil and a little bit of the oyster sauce, and then we'll wait till we start doing our cooking over at the stove in a minute here, and we'll put it all together. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. We're going to move the cameras over so you can get a better look at what's going on over there. So I'll see you in just a few minutes. Well, welcome back. And what we're going to do now is make a fun little appetizer or a side dish. Spring rolls or fresh spring rolls. You probably had them. These are not deep fried. These are going to be in these little guys here that are called rice paper wraps. You've probably seen these in the store every now and again, but there's something most people don't make at home. We're gonna give it a crack here. I've got my water heating up. All you really need is we're going to have, in terms of our mise en place, we've taken some green onion, spring onion, whatever you want to call it, and I've matchsticked them or made them very thin. They tend to curl up a little bit. We'll straighten them out. Red pepper and some matchstick carrots. And it's really, most people use Bibb lettuce, but it just so happens that when I was at the store getting the things for this, they had this living butter lettuce. So I wanted to try that and give that a shot, see how it works. Again, we're only cooking. It's only cooking, not building a spaceship, so we can use what we want in this. I've also got some shrimp that I've cut in half. I'll do a couple in shrimp. You can put the shrimp inside the lettuce, or you can put it on the outside so people know that it's a shrimp spring roll instead of a vegetarian. So we'll do one of each just to get it going. What you want is a flat surface. I think it works a little better if you just put a little bit of oil and spread it around there, because guess what doesn't mix? Water and oil. You put water on this thing, you get that tension, and all of a sudden you're having to pry it off, and those of us who aren't gifted with a lot of fingernails can't do much. So what we really have here is a, let's see if I can burn myself. We have a pie plant, and it has not too hot of water. I've added a little hot water from the teapot because it's just got to be 100 degrees maybe. So we take the rice paper, and you move kind of quick with this part because you don't need to get it, you don't want to get it so you can't get it out of there. But you get it a little wet and you get it a little soft, get both sides a little bit. And then you lay it out on your board. We're going to do the first one, we'll do a vegetable one. So you can see you put it down here close to the, not right to the edge, but pretty close to the edge. So because you're going to pull the sides in and just fold it over. Put a little tension, keep it tight. So I've taken these and I've removed the ribs out of them. So again, it's a little bit easier to manage. We'll put some carrots in there. Again, it's what you feel like. If you don't want to put carrots, put cucumber. If you want to put cucumber, I think you can probably put avocado if you're going to eat them right away. They don't want to have them go too long because we know what avocado does. It turns funny colors and then it doesn't look appetizing at all. And then we'll put some of these in there. That gives it a little bit of a pop. And then you take and pull the back side up. Now you want to pull this pretty good. You don't want to pull so tight you rip it, but you want to get a good tight roll on this. You pull the side in. If I can get it with my fingers. Okay, you pull this side up. And then you've got now a nice tight, keep it tight, keep it rolling tight. And you're just rolling up, getting all of the vegetables compressed into that rice paper. And you have that, and there's your first one finished. Let's do a shrimp one this time. Again, it's pretty easy. This pie dish isn't quite the right size, so you can just lay it in there. Normally you can just lay it in, and it's pretty easy then. But you want to get this makes it nice and pliable. The water's starting to get even a little cool, and I have to warm it up. You don't want it so hot you can't put your hands in it. Layer down there, and I'm going to I've sliced the shrimp in half. We're going to put them right on here so you can see them when we roll it up. That way you'll know it's a shrimp spring roll. Place these leaves on the top. And again, these leaves are a little bit lighter. If you put the Bibb lettuce, it's going to be a little bit darker. So it's not important. It's not important how you do it. It's not important how you put it in there, really, because it's your little project and your little piece of art. So make it look how you want to. And some of these. And now's the fun part. It's fun when it works. It's not so much fun if it doesn't work. So you give this a good tight roll, pull it all in there, make sure it's as tight as you can make it. It's a little bit squirmy. Push the end in, pull this side up. Push this stuff in, pull this side up. Now you've got a nice, easy, you can see how easy it's going to be to roll now. Oops, pull that out of there. Again, it's not as critical that it's all going to be like perfect, because we're not serving this at a Michelin star restaurant. We're going to dip these in some sauce of your choice. You can use a peanut sauce if you like that. Now you can see, you can obviously tell that is a shrimp spring roll. So we can make a couple more of those. We're going to then come back. We've got our chicken Thai ginger dish ready. We'll put it all together and we'll have a little taste and try some taste on that. So we'll be right back in a minute.
K9 Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website dogsaver.org and click on the K9 Stray Rescue League link.
Okay, well, welcome back. We're over at the famous stove here now, and I got to get going. I've been heating this through your commercial break there, or through the break, and while we're setting up the cameras, so we might be a little hot, but we're going to make it work. You want to have the key here to stir frying is it's stir frying, not air frying. You're frying it in oil, but you cannot use olive oil on this. Well, you can, but you won't get a hot enough temperature to get what you want. Okay, that's doing well. That's perfect. All right, let's get it all in there. Again, I don't really want to steam it, so I'm going to try and keep it a little bit separated. And we'll get that going a little bit there. Come on, baby. Turn it back up now. Okay, let's get that in. I think I got all of it. Good. Now we're going to get the chicken cooked first because it's the hardest thing to cook. The other vegetables we have, broccoli, we're just softening it up a little bit. I threw some red pepper because when I was prepping for my spring rolls that are going to be part of this dish, I had a little left over, so I just threw it in there. Again, it's only cooking. You can throw anything in there. So, and I have some of the green onions. Now, I could do this in a wok, and underneath my board, my cutting board that I have my mise en place in place, I have a special grate that is for using a wok, and it's higher temperature, and I have a wok. But the purpose of this show is to show you it's only cooking. You don't need all these special things. With a caveat, I've shown you a few really neat special things you can get, like the knife sharpener and a couple other things like that. But other than that, it's really not necessary to have a lot of special tools, and that's what I'm trying to show this here too, is we can just do this in a regular frying pan. Now, remember, you had this in a lot of fluid, so it's going to somewhat steam anyway. You're not going to get a full Maillard reaction, but that'll be fine, which is Maillard, as you know, is the browning. You got a little bit there, but it's got so much water in it that it's just not going to, unless we really overcook it, it's not going to do that. So I'm just going to get all these cooked on both sides, get it really going, and this will help also thicken up the sauce a little bit, which is what we want. This is at a pretty low temperature, so technically it would usually be a lot hotter than this, but because we're cooking it in a regular frying pan, and because we're cooking it not over the high heat like a wok and using a special wok burner, what'll happen is I don't want my garlic to burn. So if we can keep it just a little lighter temperature, I won't have that happen, because that will then, you'll pick that real pungent taste up. You'll pick that up in the dish. And we're still getting a little Maillard on there. You can see some of the pieces are getting it. So it's working, but not like it would if you were stir frying this up in a pan that had a minimal amount of oil and you're doing it at a high temperature. So we're getting pretty close there. A little bit more on some of these pieces. Again, they're so thin that they're and you probably notice I didn't put all of the chicken in here. I'm really making pretty much a single dish, because we're going to eat later. This is earlier in the day when we're filming this, so we're going to do that a little later. Next thing we'll put in is we'll put in our broccoli and our onions, and we're going to put a little bit of that sauce in. We're going to save the rest for when we put the noodles in. So I may switch from this to this little guy here, because I like the way this kind of works in keeping things moving around a little bit. Yep, and there's the chicken starting to get that nice dark reaction. We'll turn that oven down a little bit. Now it's looking like a good stir fry. I'm going to reach across here just for a moment. Apologize, I should have had my mise en place with my pepper here. No salt. This thing's got a lot of salt in it already, but I just want to put a little pepper in it, because it then gives another level of flavor. Okay, and then we're about ready. We can throw the rest of this sauce in, because we're going to put these noodles in that I've treated with oil and a little bit of oyster sauce. And now what we're going to do is just keep stirring this up. I may go back to some tongs, because these are going to be, it's going to be unwieldy. Okay, now what we're really doing is just finishing off the noodles. They don't really need to be cooked much. We're going to cook them for a little bit longer. Let's turn this up a little bit more. And just try to separate those out a little bit so you can get a good incorporation of vegetables and chicken and everything when you plate it. We could plate this, but I'm going to put it in one of the little special little bowls we have around here for some of these dishes like this. And again, this is, you can eat it with chopsticks if you wish to, but we're probably, and you can see that sauce is thickening up real nice. And as that thickens up and cooks on there, you're going to get your noodles are going to get that proper consistency that you want. Anyway, yep, we're about there. You can see the noodles, how they're getting more of a shape and a consistency like you would have on a noodle. Okay, let's turn off the heat and let's get everything plated up. Okay, here we go. We're going to plate this up now. I'm going to try not to slop it up too much, because I like the bowl to look pretty. We're going to put a lot of the noodles down first. Lay some of the chicken in there. I like to put the colorful, get the green on there of the broccoli on top, along with some chicken. Okay, let's get some more broccoli. Let's throw a little bit of that there. Then to finish it off, we'll do a couple other little things. I've got the tops to the green onions. We'll sprinkle some of those on. And then some of these little guys here, which you can see right here, these are toasted sesame seeds. They come in black, they come in brown. These look less like something that you find around your mousetrap. So these just look more appetizing to me. So there we have it. There's our dish complete with our side dish of fresh spring rolls. Here's the chili crisp I was mentioning. Oh. So it's a spicy chili crisp because I didn't put any real hot sauce or red flakes in it or anything. And you can, and I'm not going to mess it all up because somebody standing here in the studio, in our kitchen studio, is probably going to eat a little of this. So, but you would just basically put a little of this on and then stir it up when you're ready to eat it. That's all. This is pretty straightforward. And then the request was for the sweet chili sauce dip. You can make a peanut dip. A peanut and coconut milk. Let's just mix it up. Peanut, ground up crushed peanuts and coconut milk. A little bit of vinegar, just a little bit of the seasoned vinegar, the rice wine seasoned vinegar, and that's all you need. And stir it up real good, and it dips real good in these too. So, well, let's pick one. I'll pick a shrimp one because I like shrimp. So we'll try it. Also, the shrimp, just so you know, they're cooked. This is not sushi, even though you see this a lot in the sushi places in the store. So you can see how this came out. Got a good picture of it there. And let's, this one looks pretty good here. We'll take a little taste of this, dip it in some of the seasoning here, this dip. I'm not gonna double dip it. One dip, one dip. And I'm not gonna eat the whole thing either because the producer says I talk with my mouth full. That is delicious. We were laughing as we were putting this over here that our rice paper, because it's a little bit thicker, looks a little bit like cellophane around it. That'd be a neat little trick to play on your guests, but it really is rice paper. I have it oilier because it had to sit around here for a little while, and I want them all sticking to the plate. But if you whip them up and eat them within 20 minutes, they're just fine. You don't have to put oil on it like I did. But anyway, this is very good. I'm going to have that a little bit later, and now let's add a little bit of our main dish here. Let's take a piece of chicken. We'll take a small piece. Again, don't want to talk my mouth full. A little bit of broccoli, a little bit of onion, a little bit of the noodles. See if I can get those wound up in there without losing everything. Oops, there we go. No, I'm not going to be able to. There I go. Perfect. Not. There we go. All right, let's see what we got. I'm going to slurp, sorry. It's perfect. This is for people who don't like a lot of spice and who don't want it with a lot of sodium, because I didn't put any salt, as you notice. Just the only thing that was in there was the sodium from the soy sauce. But that's a lot of volume in there for just that amount of soy sauce, so it's not bad. A little bit of the pepper, just a little bit of vegetables. You can add more vegetables if you want. And you can also put, if you do it with rice, you can put an egg at the end of your process, so it's more like a traditional stir fry. At any rate, that's the dish all served up. Hope you have a nice time trying this. It's a pretty easy thing to do. You can do this with beef. You can do it with chicken. I've never done it with pork, but you can do it with beef and chicken. I have. I'm sure it works the same with pork, but just remember, thin slices, marinate first, thin slices so it cooks relatively easily, and it's tender. That's the key. This is delicious and tender and juicy, and everything on this goes together in a nice plate as one, or you can serve your spring rolls as an appetizer while you're, and your guests can eat that while you're making up the stir fry. And you saw that it only took 5 minutes to make the stir fry. So with that said, hope to see you again next time on It's Only Cooking. Bye now.